If shooting exclusively in full auto is your thing, this is the video for you. What's going on, boomers and doomers? On today's episode, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics to discuss, LMGs, or as they're colloquially known as LMGs. Although many on this list aren't really like machine guns, they're machine guns nonetheless. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about a few of my favorite ones that we carry at Airsoft GI. So why is it that we love machine guns and airsoft? Well, being able to shoot exclusively in full auto is one of the biggest flexes you can have on the airsoft field. In a team environment like a Milsim game, for example, you are considered, if you have an LMG, one of the most important and invaluable members of the team, because you are what we call a force multiplier. And honestly, for me, I just need someone for once in my life just to value me. The first gun we're going to talk about is going to be the LCT RPK-74M NV Soviet LMG. LCT, fix the naming situation. I'm not saying that name again. But this, out of all the LMGs on my list, this has definitely got to be the most plain looking, right? RPKs really, at the end of the day, are just AKs, but with long barrel. But for whatever reason, the simplicity of it is just a vibe. One of the coolest features about the LCT RPK has got to be its construction. It is sporting a full steel construction. Every little bits and bobs that we found here, more than likely, are going to be made out of steel. Of course, with the exception being the handguard, the pistol grip, and the side folding stock, which are going to be made of a very durable polymer. And even though it is still sporting mostly steel components, it still feels fairly lightweight. That's most likely in due part due to the simplicity of the design overall. Some other cool features about the LCT RPK. As mentioned previously, the stock is going to be side folding. However, LCT, please make it a lot easier. It's a pain in the ass to try to go ahead and redeploy it once you folded it in. Honestly, I would not recommend folding it and trying to redeploy it. Just keep it as is. That's the way it's meant to be played with. It also comes included with a side-mounted optics mount on here, so if you wanted to put any sort of optics mount on here, it's going to be very easy to do so. It also comes included with the integrated bipod, which can be a little annoying to put away and redeploy again, but it is still possible. It's not the worst thing in the world. And it comes included with the correct AK sights as well. I don't know what it is with certain AK companies putting out handguards that feature this weird sort of rib for your pleasure design, but it's there. The internals of the LCT RPK are going to be sporting a standard version 3 gearbox, which honestly, that's ideal. Version 3 LMGs, they just, for whatever reason, they're more accurate, they're more consistent compared to the version 2 counterparts out there. And because it's using standard version 3 internals, you can put whatever you want into this, turning this into an absolute nightmare. The LCT RPK comes included with a 600 round high capacity magazine, and that's gotta be the benefit of running an RPK. You can run any style AK magazine, and no one's really gonna look at you twice. But I think the best move that you gotta do with an RPK is run a drummy. Boaz, hand me the drummy.
We don't have any, we're out of stock.
What do you mean we're out of stock on the drummies? I told you specifically before the shoot to go and bring one. Liar, they're right here, they're in stock right now.
I forgot.
Right now, the LCT RPK-74M currently retails on Airsoft GI for $450, but you qualify for free shipping and reward store credit thanks to the Wombo combo. So $450 for a full steel construction RPK. Honestly, that's not too terrible, especially considering LCT guns, some of them go well into the $700 price point. So again, this was going to be the most plain looking out of all the guns on my list, but let's take a look at some others. Continuing our review of communist airsoft guns, next up on the list is going to be the A&K PKM. For all my gun nerds out there, yes, we are well aware that the PKM is not an LMG. It's more of an MMG, a Migma, if you will. But again, it's just still a cool platform that I thought would deserve a little bit more attention than I wanted to bring onto this list. Again, just bringing this out onto the field, right? You just don't see many of these. It's an absolute flex. If you've ever seen or even held a real or airsoft PKM, you'll know that those are some big boys, and the A&K is no exception. This also is a big boy. But again, it's actually really cool considering the components they use for this. Both the feed tray and the dust cover are going to be made out of steel, which is really cool. It might not feel cool after 5 hours of trying to hold it for that long, but it's still really cool nonetheless. The rest of the components are going to be a mix between some form of steel or metal. The outer barrel specifically is going to be some kind of metal. What's cool is the bipod is actually still steel, right? So very nice. The carry handle and the pistol grip and the stock are going to be of a really durable polymer construction. It is a bit strange that the entirety of the gun isn't comprised out of steel, like the outer barrel specifically, but I have a theory as to why that is. I believe it's because they wanted to keep the weight down a bit and keep it from being too front heavy. You imagine if they had a steel outer barrel, it might be a little front heavy there, and I don't know if it makes that big a difference, but it's there, and I guess they're just trying to cut down wherever they can. My two favorite things about this particular PKM has got to be the box mag. 5,000 rounds. That is a lot of ammunition to be carrying on you. You don't need to be carrying extra magazines, just carry extra bottles of BBs on you. And if you do, for whatever reason, run out of ammo in the middle of a match, I would seek some help. Go see a therapist. My second favorite thing has got to be the bipod. Carrying the PKM for long durations of time can be incredibly taxing, so being able to lay prone and deploy a bipod makes life a hell of a lot easier. If you guys are familiar with traditional LMGs, ordinarily you would have to have two separate batteries, or two separate power sources, one for the gun and then one for the magazine. However, not with the A&K. This particular model actually uses one battery to power both the gun and the box magazine, which is very efficient, very simple, just the way I like it. Internally is where things get interesting. The gearbox is going to be that of the same design of a 249, and the hop-up chamber is that of an M60. What sort of man-made creation do we have here? This is beyond our comprehension. But anyways, it's still using a 249 gearbox, which means that it's still supported. You can find plenty of aftermarket parts for this bad boy and turn this into an absolute nightmare. As far as upgrading this, I personally wouldn't. You know, beyond a standard shim job and tuning the compression for max air compression, that's pretty much about it. I wouldn't touch any of the other internals as is. I would want to keep a gun like this generally a slower rate of fire. That way the 5,000 round box magazine can essentially last me, well, a month, right? It'll last as long as you need it to. Right now, the A&K PKM retails for $610 on Airsoft GI. Take advantage of the Wombo combo, you'll get free shipping and reward store credit. Almost forgot, one small caveat about the PKM is the FPS. Now, out of the box, it is shooting at 450 FPS. So, not only does this gun look terrifying, it shoots terrifyingly too. The next gun on this list has got to be the most practical. It's the Golden Eagle My Chemical Romance Ligma. Wow, I didn't know Golden Eagle was such big My Chemical Romance fans. Maybe I should just buy this just to support them. In all seriousness, all jokes aside, the Golden Eagle MCR is on this list because it's definitely got to be the most practical option on here. It's the most affordable, it's the most compact, it's the most lightweight, making this the easiest gun to transition over from a standard rifleman role to an LMG without taking the deep plunge. The Golden Eagle MCR resembles that of an M4 when it comes to low receiver, and that's for a good reason. It's more or less based off the Shrike LMG from Ares Defense System, so the low receiver is going to be that of basically of an M4 with an LMG upper, full metal construction throughout, with of course the exceptions being the pistol grip and the stock. It looks and feels pretty damn good. The upper receiver is where it really starts to resemble more of an LMG. You are going to be getting these nice dummy rounds on here, box magazine, nice full metal handguard on here with some Picatinny up top, and for whatever reason, key mod on both the sides and the bottom. Like, why key mod? Nice carry handle and a unique front sight. Important things to note, the MCR comes in two variations, a short barrel and a longer barrel version. I have with me the short barrel version, it's more compact, I think it looks cooler, but if you want to go with the longer barrel version, that is an option as well. It also comes included with a QD barrel system, which is cool, it's nice that it's there, but I kind of question why it was there in the first place, considering you can't buy the outer barrels individually anyway. But regardless, I do love how customizable the MCR is. You know, you get plenty of rail space, plenty of real estate for you to put any sort of accessories of your choosing. An interesting bit about the MCR is that it is sporting a standard buffer tube, and it's got this really cool, unique looking stock on here with this built-in cheek rise, which looks really sick. However, personally, I think it would look better with some other options. Now, hear me out, let me cook. I think that it would actually look very cool with the CQB special, CQB stubby stock on there. I think it would just look very aesthetically pleasing, and it really helps out because the gun's rear wired, right? Thank God it is rear wired. Too many LMGs exist out there that have atrocious battery space. LMG owners, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes it is a pain to be able to fit the batteries that you want in there. So having a CQB stubby stock on there or any other type of stock might actually work very, very well. But again, I'm saying, I think the stubby stock is going to be the move.
You know, I was going to argue with you, but now that I'm thinking about it in my head, yeah, you know what? I'll agree with you.
I'm saying, that's what I'm saying, man. It'll work. Internally, the MCR, like you would expect, because it's using an M4 lower, it is using a standard M4 version 2 gearbox. meaning you can upgrade the absolute snot out of this. Even the hop-up chamber is using just a regular dial style hop-up chamber. I'm wondering if you'd be able to swap in maybe like a rotary style like a Max or something. But that's just a testament to why I love this LMG, right? Even the magazines, even with the box magazine, you don't have to run this one exclusively. You can run regular AR style magazines and it'll fit just fine. That's the beauty of the MCR. If you were looking to get into the LMG gang and you already had an AR, it's gonna be the easiest transition ever. Right now, the Golden Eagle MCR short barrel LMG retails for $307 on airsoftgi.com right now. However, take advantage of the Wombo Combo, get free shipping, and reward store credit. And there you have it. The Golden Eagle MCR is definitely going to be the most practical option on here. It's one of the more affordable options that exist in the LMG world, and it's super lightweight. What else is there really to say? Let's move on to the juicy stuff. Moving on to the next gun on the list is going to be the classic Army MK46 SPW LMG. 249, one of my favorites, a true staple in the LMG. Where's the box mag? Boys, where's the box mag?
What are you talking about? It doesn't come with one.
What? Are you freaking kidding me, dude? Like, there's no way that it only comes included with a regular M4 mag. So that wasn't just for a picture. That wasn't just for marketing. That's a thing. It only comes included with that regular. Oh my god. So unfortunately, the classic Army MK46 does not come included with a box magazine. And as much as that pains me to say, there actually is a good reason for it, and I'll be getting into that later. For those that don't know, the classic Army MK46, or the classic Army 249 as a platform, is one of the OGs, right? A&K basically took the same design, it's using the exact same internals that the classic Army is going to be using. So this guy has been around for a long time, and there's plenty of upgrade components readily available for this. Externally, the classic Army 249 MK46 is using full metal construction, specifically steel when it comes to the receiver, some nice Picatinny dust cover up on the top so you can put whatever optic you like, and because of MK46 configuration, you will get the heat shield and some more rail space on here as well, and just like true MK46, you'll get an additional rail space right here on the bottom of the handguard, but it is going to be covered right now by these covers, but again, they're removable, you can take those off. We'll also be using this integrated bipod on here as well, and the correct front sight. Overall, externally, Classic Army has done a bang-up job. There's not many companies that can build a MK46 that feels externally as solid as Classic Army ones. However, there is one gripe I have about it. It's gotta be the stock. Why is it using a soft mod stock? Why is it not using the correct MK46 stock? Internally, the Classic Army 249 MK46 is going to be using, surprise, surprise, the 249 gearbox. It set the standard for everyone else, essentially. It's what you would expect from a 249, right? And it is still a very supported platform out there, which is good because a lot of guys want to do high rate of fire builds with LMGs, and you can do it for sure. I've personally done it as well, but not without a bit of work to the gearbox. That includes changing out the gears, of course a shim job, fine-tuning the compression, and changing out the hop-up chamber. The hop-up chamber you get is not able to be R-hop. You will need to change that out for an aftermarket one, which thank God they do exist. So you do have a very upgradable platform. Just bear in mind, if you want it to be competitive, you're gonna need to put in the work. Now, the moment you've all been asking, what is up with the magazine? Why does it not come included with the box magazine? Why does it come included with this standard M4 magazine? And in all seriousness, I genuinely believe it's gonna be the price. Right? You compare this to the A&K MK46s that exist out there, they're 249s, and they're gonna be a little bit pricier, and that's because of the magazine that they get right out of the box. It does get the traditional 249 box magazine, and that does drive up the price quite a bit. So I do believe that Classic Army wanted to keep their prices competitive and just stick with the regular M4 magazine. It is good to know that 249s traditionally can take regular M4 magazines, so if you run an M4 or any type of AR, you're gonna be fine in terms of magazines, and you can always buy different box mags out there, whether you wanna go with the traditional 249 box mag, or you wanna go with the Knights Armament Stoner style nutsack style mag. Get the nutsack. You want the nutsack. Now, the reason why I chose the Classic Army MK46 as opposed to the A&K variations, because those do exist as well, is for one simple thing. It's rear wired. Thank goodness, right? This is the one MK46 that I know out there that actually is rear wired. It uses a standard buffer tube, so even if this soft mod stock wasn't enough battery space, you can very easily swap this out for any other stock of your choosing. This has got to be definitely a lot more convenient in terms of battery space for anyone rocking this compared to the A&Ks. Now, I did mention that the Classic Army MK46 was considerably more affordable than the A&K models, and the retail for this right now is going for $435 at airsoftgi.com, but again, Wombo combos kicking in, you're gonna be getting the free shipping and reward store credit. Now, $400 for an Airsoft LMG sounds expensive, and I do get it, but just bear in mind a couple things. This is coming from Classic Army. Classic Army is one of the oldest airsoft brands that we know out there right now, right? That's still producing good quality airsoft guns. They know how to make a good airsoft gun. 2, Mark 46 is another 249s that exists out there on the market, very similar to this, will be retailing for considerably more. We're talking $500+, right? If you were looking, right, if you were in the market for a LMG specifically for a milsim style scenario or style loadout, you know, the Classic Army is an option that I think is a top contender. It's one that I went with and I've been very happy with mine so far, and I think you will be too. Next, moving on to the final boss of the Airsoft LMGs, gonna be the Tokyo Marui Next Generation Recoil Shock Mark 46 Mod 0. If you guys haven't been keeping up with the channel, we actually did a full in-depth review of the Tokyo Marui Mark 46, so make sure to go ahead and check that out. But in summation, externally, this is a very well-built Mark 46, full metal construction where you would expect it, and some really nice polymer as well. Externally, it's about the same what you would come to expect from a high-quality Mark 46. However, internally is where things get spicy. Like the name suggests, it's all in the recoil. That's something that LMGs have been missing for quite a long time. You have recoil in pistols. You even see it for rifles. But where is it for LMGs? Thankfully, Tokyo Marui is here to save the day. Now, because of the next generation recoil shock design, the gearbox is going to be a completely proprietary onto itself, meaning that there's not a whole lot of upgrades out there. Not yet anyway, it's Tokyo Marui, so just wait a little while. I'm pretty sure parts are going to come out in the next couple years. But shooting this bad boy is an absolute breath of fresh air. I've been a dedicated LMG support gunner for many years now, and honestly, shooting this just felt so nice and refreshing. One interesting feature about the Mark 46 has got to be the way it feeds and its box magazine. Now, this system that it's currently using actually solves a lot of the feeding issues on traditional 249s. Instead of using a tube dedicated for feeding BBs into the hop-up chamber, this feeds directly into it, completely vertically, right? Which actually solves the issue entirely. There's no need for a tube. It's directly into the hop-up chamber. And while it is a proprietary system and it is shooting sub 300 FPS, it actually has no problem reaching out and hitting targets further out. Which, again, that's just a testament to the Japanese space magic being displayed here. So even though Tokyo Marui innovated so much when it came to the Mark 46 design, why the hell is it still front wired, right? Now, granted, a little caveat here. I want to make sure that you guys understand this. Never use an 11-1 with this. You will destroy the very expensive internals of this Mark 46, right? I just don't understand why they felt the need to front wire it, especially considering you have all this space. Look at this. It's all hollowed out, right? You should be able to store in a nice fat brick battery in here. It would have solved all the issues in the world. But no, they decided to front wire it again. Don't know why. Now the hardest thing about this gun, the price. The Tokyo Marui Next Generation Recoil Shock Mark 46 Mod 0 LMG retails for $1,478 on Airsoft GI. But you get the Wombo combo, so you'll be able to take advantage of free shipping and store credit. The hard reality of Airsoft. We all want the Japanese space magic. But none of us can realistically afford the Japanese space magic, because that magic ain't cheap. I completely understand everyone's hesitation about pulling the trigger on this bad boy, no pun intended. It's an expensive gun. It is probably the most expensive LMG that we at Airsoft GI carry. However, I completely understand why, and it does kind of justify its price. The gearbox is a completely proprietary design because it's new and revolutionary. It makes significant improvements over the traditional 249 design, right? It's aesthetically pleasing. If you were looking for a milsim-worthy LMG that was also going to offer a huge fun factor in the form of its recoil, then I would say, yeah, the Tokyo Marui Next Generation Recoil Shock is worth it. If you guys were hesitant about getting into the LMG game, let me tell you, it is near impossible to get out once you get started. But anyway, thank you guys for checking out my list of my personal favorite LMGs. If you guys like the content that you guys are seeing, make sure that you like the video. Make sure you guys are subscribed and hit the bell icon so that way you guys are notified every time we drop new content. You want to support the channel directly, make sure you get all your airsoft supplies from Airsoft GI, including any of these LMGs that you saw in this video. My name is Isaiah, and I'll see you guys all on the next one.